So I'll say right off the bat, not only did I not like My Struggle 4, it was my least favorite of all the My Struggle episodes, which definitely had their flaws, but I think they all had redeeming qualities, except for this one. I really didn't like My Struggle 4. I've tried to come up with the main reason why. I feel like if what you're going to do for your finale is you're going to have this almost Christ-like figure that's the key to stemming off the apocalypse, you can get away with that, but don't have that and then also make your Christ-like figure just so unlikable and such a brat and such an angsty little shit. And the only exposure we've got to William, whether it was in Ghoulie, and he was sleeping with these two different girls, and then as a prank, he got them to attack each other. Like, it was just such a shitty way to kind of introduce and flesh him out. And then in this episode, he wasn't likable, and when you saw his interactions with his ex-girlfriend and like flirting with her, it was just really skeezy, and I don't think it paired well with making him this almost mythical figure, and it was just a bad combination. And then how they ended the episode with Scully disowning William almost and saying, well, he wasn't really a child, he's more an experiment, this son we have now, or this child we have now, well, this one's for real, this one counts. It just felt like it cheapened all the work that they'd at least tried to do, building up this emotional connection between Scully and William. And we had that nice emotional moment where Scully was saying, I just need to know that we didn't treat him like trash when we gave him away. And it was actually a decent emotional moment. And I just felt like how they ended the episode, it just threw all that work they at least tried to do away. It's debatable whether it really worked and the audience ever really bought into William as a character we should care about. But even so, I just feel like the way they ended it was just unnecessary. And I feel like to have a potentially serious finale that's so light on the classic X-File elements, aliens, government cover-ups, conspiracies, and so much about car chases and action scenes, and some of the action scenes and X-Men type stuff and father-son dynamics. Now, when William was exploding people with his mind, I thought that was excellent. That was one of the highlights, and I thought it was really cool how he sees the future, and then he sees Mulder dying, and then he's very creative, and he comes up with a way where that can still happen. Technically, it can still happen. Mulder stays alive. It was a very interesting kind of exploration of seeing the future, but still being able to have an impact on it. So that was quite good, but just lacking in that kind of government cover-up and conspiracies and secret elites, like all that elements, which I thought they did a decent job in the first three My Struggle installments. All of those things fell by the wayside. Maybe they got such a bad backlash to those episodes, they felt like they wanted to go a different direction, but I missed those elements for sure. And I do think it's funny that Skinner, who people have always felt has gotten a bit shortchanged and never gets respect, he finally got his own episode in season 11. Remember Kitten, you see his backstory finally getting fleshed out. It seemed like that was just a ploy to make his death or apparent death even hit harder, so I thought getting shortchanged again a little bit. And now let's try to figure out, so what mythology did we actually get? So William's powers, we know he can change people's perceptions, he can see the future, he can beam his visions of the future into the minds of other people, he can explode people with his mind, he can survive headshots. Now what's unclear is whether they could use his cells or whatever to create a vaccine to the Spartan virus, or whether just his great power, he could just touch people and heal them with his touch or something. I think that the show seemed to imply that none of this was true. Why the cigarette-smoking man wanted to get to William was just because he was his son and his creation, and he felt this kind of bond, and he wanted to use William and use his power to control the world. I don't think that it had anything to do with him trying to kill William to stop them from using William to create some kind of healing vaccine. I don't think the cigarette smoking man wanted to kill William. I think he wanted to actually protect him and kind of use him to his own advantage. So what we're left with as a story is aliens come to Earth and they make contact, and there's a lot of back and forth between aliens and people very high up in power on Earth. Now, the cigarette-smoking man, he's just a guy. He's one of the many people who has contact with aliens, and he has this idea. He seems to come up with it on his own and largely implement it on its own, where he says, look, if I'm able to use alien DNA and create this pathogen, that would allow me to just release this virus and inflict this virus and kill lots of the world. Now, why does he do this? It seems like he has no motivation, but I think some people might say this is a plot hole. I think this is the one thing that I can get past, because look, he clearly has a lot of power, has been very influential on world events, has kind of achieved this peak level of control over world history, and at that point, there's nothing else for him to do other than just see the world burn. And it's joked that he gets off on this. I think he does get off to some extent on having a God complex and feeling like God and being able to control world events and influence things. And what gives him more control? What would be more of a rush than wiping out all these people? To some extent, he's like a serial killer who gets a rush off of killing a single person. He just wants to amplify that and just get this huge rush out of depopulation. So I don't think he really has any kind of guiding philosophy that he thinks he's doing it to save the environment or to create a better race of people. No, I think he's doing it because he can. So what we're left with is just this one guy, this rogue scientist, this lone wolf, and his power trip. And we realize it's not him and aliens working together. The aliens, at least we're told, they've left because they see global warming and dwindling resources, and they don't really want anything to do with our planet. So the aliens have gone. They're not a part of it anymore. It's just the alien DNA that was stolen and taken from them. That's still being used by humans, but the aliens are gone. The other people we see in My Struggle 3 and 4, Mr. Y and his organization, they claim that they have nothing to do with the cigarette smoking man, and they don't want to see this pathogen get released. So they tell Mulder to go kill the cigarette smoking man, and they say, hey, he'll never suspect you because you're his son. So they seem to not want the pathogen to get released, and their reasoning is, well, they want to do this space colonization program. And it's unclear. I think I don't know if the space colonization program, that's the reason they say, look, we don't want this pathogen to get released because we want to do the space colonization program and we need all the resources of the world to pull this off. Or if they say, well, in the worst case scenario, the pathogen does get released, our secret escape plan is space colonization. It's unclear, but either way, I guess the takeaway is that their plan, it only would save a select few group of people. So Mulder's central conflict is, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like both sides are evil. The cigarette smoking man, he just wants to wipe everyone out because he just wants to see the world burn, and he just wants destruction. He just wants to inflict his will upon the world. This other organization, they don't give a shit about the rest of the world either, even if I guess they're slightly better. Now, aside from the finale, I don't think season 11 was that bad. I really liked the episode where they talked about uploading people's consciousness. Black Mirror did a whole season about it, but I thought that X-Files came up with a kind of unique twist where you take the smartest people and you kind of keep them alive forever, just working on, I guess, mathematical equations and other kind of mental labor. We think of slavery all the time as physical slavery, completely different take on it to kind of think of this kind of intellectual slavery, which would in some sense be even more lucrative to any kind of elite organization that really wanted to dominate the world. So very interesting take. I loved the Mandela Effect episode. I thought that was fantastic. It was hilarious, a lot of meta humor, kind of critiquing the show as a whole. So that was a great episode as well. So two fantastic episodes. And the fact that you can have a show with such range, where you have the serious episodes and then the episodes like the Mandela Effect one that are just so over the top and campy, almost self-parody, just absurdism. I love that you can have that range, but with some common thematic elements. So a reoccurring theme was how we live in this post-cover-up age, where now if a government or corporation wanted to hide something, rather than actually trying to hide it and suppress it, it would be much more effective to just flood so much fake information and so much crap and so much disinformation out there. I think it was actually pretty timely and actually pretty true. And then the technology, the automation episode, that was fantastic as well. And I love the message about how when we experience problems with technology, we often think of it as, well, technology is bad, humans good. But oftentimes, no, the incompetence we see and the frustration, that's our own incompetence leaking into the technology we create. So a very interesting point that often gets lost in technology debates. And then I loved how that episode also had the theme of how technology can facilitate consumerism and just buying more and more. And whether that's after you buy something and you see the related items, or in this case, it was as soon as you run out of something, you get this prompt that asks you to just confirm buying more, and how technology could make it so much easy and so much more efficient for you to buy things, and in doing so, make you buy even more than you need to. And then the whole running theme of last chance to tip and the central absurdity of tipping and AI. But I guess if you take the stance that I think a lot of people are taking, that artificial intelligence has rights and you can't, enslave them and you have to give them certain basic rights, well, where does it end? And why not tip an AI? Why not tip a robot? So something that seems on its face so ridiculous, you start to probe deeper and, well, maybe it's not so ridiculous. And then we have the Chuckle Teeth episode, pretty good visual, pretty good monster there. The Immortality episode. So all in all, I don't think you can say season 11 was a bad season. I don't think it was great and had a lot of missteps. I thought the finale was awful, like I've said, but a decent season for sure.